Hello.
Hello.
Studio update. We're testing out some new tech. Sorry about the delay, everybody.
As
Adrian.
always, it's like new tech means new issues.
Yeah, we had to re-authenticate a lot of the channels, and as always, we ran into two-factor issues and multi-factor issues. Let's do a little test chat. If you're here, give us a live sign. Adrian, let's check out the Substack channels. My Substack is live. I just got a notification, so green light there. Hey Substack crew, what's up? Cool. That works.
I'm still here in finding the things.
I'm testing LinkedIn and YouTube. Those are our main channels that we're committed to. OTJ on YouTube is live. Looks very sharp, looks very good. I'm curious to see the difference in quality of the recording. It's one of the reasons we're testing this. Also, we've had some...
So it's restream, by the way. So we were streaming all day long from StreamYard, and now we're going to stream on Restream.
Yeah, now we're on Restream.
That's quite a new thing for us.
Yeah. We did set up the event with StreamYard, so I hope everything connected together correctly. Adrian, I do not see you live on LinkedIn. Maybe that's just...
I am live on LinkedIn.
You are live on LinkedIn, okay.
But
it used to be
LinkedIn
on
comments
the banner.
don't come in again.
Yeah, it used to be on the banner.
It's the same issue than with StreamYard with the LinkedIn comments.
Okay. You are live on LinkedIn. I can see you live on LinkedIn. Very good. Quality looks the same. Hey Yunus. Okay, LinkedIn crew chat is working. Simon, hello. Simon, I can see you on Substack. Glad you could join. Adrian, where is the studio chat?
What do you mean studio chat?
I'm looking at the studio now. Do you and I see like a behind the scenes?
There's private chat left bottom thing.
Okay, thank you. So that's that's private, okay.
It's private, and the right-hand side chat. LinkedIn is simply not transmitting, but I transmit back.
Okay, cool. Hey Simon, great having you. So, for context, today's episode. Can we start, Adrian?
Yeah, of course.
I brought today's topic forward. I wanted to talk about the technologies we're using in my teams, the teams that I'm coaching, the teams that I'm working with. And I realized there was a huge overlap with the tools you're using. And most of them are fairly new. These tools didn't exist 5 years ago, I don't think. So it's very, very, very likely that if you're watching, that this is going to be very new to you. Or you might discover something new. The tools aren't sponsoring, so
as always, we are not sponsored.
We're
paying everything ourselves.
Yeah, so we're not going to advertise it too much. We can if we're going to be enthusiastic about it. I'm also not going to screen share the tools too much. We're just going to mention them while I'll play with the new setup. Is the music in the background?
We could make a Gather.town racing track competition.
We could, but I think it would derail the conversation a little bit. We can do it in the end if we have some extra time.
We can.
So I'm just gonna put it into our notes real quick. So the tools I wanted to talk about were Gather.town, so Gather app. Gather got rebranded recently. Tuple or Code with Me, whichever you're more familiar with. Rabbit.
Do you share something right now, or don't you share?
No, I'm just typing into our notes. And CodeRabitt and Brain Freeze. Okay, I'm just gonna put down CodeScene. Those are the 4 I would like to talk about. We can stop at CodeRabitt if you want. So number 1 is Gather.town. What does this look like? Gather.town. Wow, that looks very boring.
Is it Gather app now, as you said?
It's Gather app now, yes.
But there are some further. Okay, that's something different.
Yeah.
Gather.town.
Yeah, that looks like it's my name.
Gather.town.
I created a caption on screen, but that's not really what I wanted. It looks a bit boring. Okay. Number 1, Gather.town. So you will find it under app.gather.town. This is an organizational tool that I've been using a lot with my teams. Adrian, you've been using, right?
We are even infecting other companies a lot during fellowships with that tool.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah.
You can see the URL and QR code if you want to take a look at it.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
I don't want to paste an image there because.
But now I need 2 phones.
Huh?
Now I need 2 phones. Now I need a phone to take a screenshot.
No, you just need a mirror. That's okay. I'm doing that all the time now. It's normal. Just don't. I don't know why everyone is so, let's say, without ideas. Just become a little bit more creative.
Stop it.
Okay. It's actually a great tool, so you can run around. It feels a little bit like, I don't know if people are that old here, like Ultima Online, those kind of games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine Ultima Online with your teammates and you're going for a pair programming session to
that is a very good very good comparison. Yeah. But also I think Stardew Valley also has that aesthetic, which is a little bit more modern, if you might know it. So it's like a top-down role-playing game, or the Final Fantasies, the old ones, or Pokemon, like the Game Boy Pokemon version aesthetic of just you moving your character around. That's kind of what it looks like. So Gather solves, for me, it solves a very niche organizational problem, which is, in a typical organization, it is impossible to find meeting rooms without going down the calendar rabbit hole. Right? Like, I need to know who's hosting, who's the guest. There might be a Google account for a meeting room or a conference room, and then maybe every room has a Google account, and it's just such a mess to keep track of, like, who's on which meeting and what's going on, that all the meetings implicitly become invite only. If you're not invited, you have no idea that the meeting's happening, which also means that the only way to block time is for the engineers to have focus time, block time for pairing. The only way for them to do that is to invite themselves to a meeting with themselves that people can join. And it creates this, like, really weird artificial landscape if you don't have a tool as an alternative. So what Gather.town is doing is basically creating a little town, a village, an office, a virtual office that you can move around in. And then when you move around, so it has like WASD support, you can move around the town. And when you move next to somebody, it immediately starts a call, so audio, video. Like, very, very low latency. There's no room, it's not in a schedule, it doesn't have a name, and you can just create an ad hoc meeting without having to create, like, go to your calendar, pick a time, pick an end time, invite people, send. That then creates a Zoom link. Then you open up your calendar. Somebody looks at their email. On their email, they accept. The email on the accept goes to their calendar. The calendar then opens up. In the calendar, there's a Zoom link. And you click the Zoom link. Your Zoom now opens up. It has a freaking waiting room. Now you click accept. And then you need to go to the bathroom. I need to go all over again. Right? So that's the problem it's solving. Inside an organization, there's no more calendar stuff going on. but instead you have like little zones on your Gather.town, and then you can walk into those zones and immediately have an ad hoc meeting. You can then still connect it back to your calendar to say, hey, we meet here in the village at that time. But you don't have to limit yourself to the time box. Right? So it's very good for pairing. It's very good for ad hoc meetings. It's also very good if you're new. You can then zoom out and you can see, that person is busy with that person right now. That person is busy with that person right now. Who's free? Then you will see one person who's free, and then you can go to them and talk to them. Right? So it's very easy to have like a top-down oversight of who could I walk to right now to ask a question that's not in a meeting right now. Because without Gather.town, you don't know when somebody's in a meeting. You'd have to check their calendar, but the calendar is no proof that they are actually in that meeting, right? So you can't tell, are you just invited? Did you RSVP correctly? So the calendar data is not always correct and will lag behind if you're just being invited to everything. So Gather makes it a lot easier to get situational awareness of, does somebody need my help? Can I walk up to somebody's desk and maybe check how they're doing? Do a well-being check, do a emotional check, do a process check. Say, hey, are you stuck inside anything? Rather than having that scheduled in advance routinely as like a stand-up, you can just do it organically. Because this is what you could do organically in the office. Just look around, cubicles or tables or offices, like, okay, three people are at one computer. Okay, I don't want to disturb them unless I need something. But then you might see one person alone scratching their head, and then you can check in, hey, is everything okay? Do you need anything? And then that can be much more organic.
Even though you are remote, and that is the point.
Yeah, you're remote, and you just.
I think that is. We haven't really mentioned that. This is for remote a really good tool. So you basically simulate what the people, mostly the managers of companies, the CEOs complain that people are not at the office anymore. We can't see them. And you basically can have a good middle ground by setting up your own space and treating it like a virtual office. Which is a gamification of the office, but it's still an office. And it works quite well. So I can say it works quite well. It works for 2 people, it works for 20 people, it works for 100 people. It's even good for conferences. That's a good thing as well. You can host some conferences in there as well. It's quite fun. It had some starting issues 2 years ago, but that's mostly gone. So it's a fine, nice thing to have, right?
Yeah.
So actually,
2 years ago, it was just like an image. It was just like a screenshot in the background, and you could walk around, and it was like based on distance. It came a long way from that. So, for example, if you're not used to it in the current version, what you can do is every employee will have a desk. So the desk is where your character is home. It's like a 3x3 area that you control, and you can push people away. You can say, hey, when I'm in my private. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah, when I'm in my private zone, and you can see that Adrian is in his private area because everything is a little bit shaded. People need to either come in, or the room needs to be unlocked, so they can't just walk in. It needs to be unlocked. You need to be not on DND. You need to be not busy, and none of that's unclaimed. The lock is top left. There's a lock button up top.
Okay.
Yeah, that one prevents people from just walking in. Right now, if you walk out, what you can do is you can meet anybody else, and they can walk up to you and they can chat to you, or you can click on their name and you can go follow them, and you can find where they are, and you can go talk to them. You might have different rooms set up that maybe have some background music. It's possible to put whiteboards as rooms, so when you join that room, there's an automatic screen sharing of a document or a video. Meeting rooms basically house an infinite amount of people that can sort of join, that you can sort of start stacking together. And there are different ways to stress test the rooms, so that you can have large meeting areas, small meeting areas, etc. So this is what Gather looks like. It's very good for ad hoc meetings, very good for pairing. And now there's also an AI feature where you can record your meetings and you can have like a summary, like what you're used to basically with Zoom or similar tools, without needing like a bot or something. So you can then backport it. You can have a meeting, have an AI transcript, send it to Notion or send it to your company's Google Space, and then you can document it and have somebody go through it and do follow-ups and next actions from it. Next tool.
Code with me.
Tuple and Code with me. So it depends on like where you're leaning. They're very similar tools. Tuple is a more of a all-in-one solution if you don't have an IDE or if you're okay with switching. Code with me is an IntelliJ native pairing solution, similar to VS Code's pair programming solution. VS Code also has like a native plugin to do pair programming with somebody. So, Rafael, hello. Substack crew being very active today. So we're talking about Code with me right now. So Code with me tuple. I'll give the caption. So number 2, tuple or Code with me or VS Code pair. Right. So that's the. You need one of these. We've been using this a lot for managing how the coding pairing session is working. Normally at a organization that is in office, that is pairing, what we would be doing is we would go to a larger table and then we would just scoot our chairs, so we would switch who's at the keyboard. Normally they would either be 2 screens or 1 screen, and then we would change who is sitting at the keyboard. In a remote-only environment, that's more difficult because everybody has a keyboard and everybody has a screen. So it's difficult to sort of decide, I want to look at your screen, but I want to type on your screen. And then it gets into all kinds of remote access issues. So the IDEs that we use the most, so VS Code, IntelliJ, and Tuple is like a native solution. Chukwuka, hello.
Hello. Unfortunately, we don't see again the LinkedIn comments.
So the LinkedIn comments.
Has lately a lot of issues with that.
I think at this point we can just attribute that as a LinkedIn issue that LinkedIn isn't interested in solving. We do see YouTube.
It comes in after a time, but it seems to be buffered in some way.
It seems it's probably just an API throttling issue, but out of our control, sadly. So, which one of these do you use?
Code with me.
Code with me.
I did new tuple actually, but Code with me we quite use a lot when we work together. We are JetBrains in general, so I think JetBrains forever already. It's like we came from Eclipse PDD directly to PHP Storm, I think, and then we stayed with all the JetBrains solutions. And it was always nice that we could click on someone. There was this little invitation coming up, and then you were just in and you could code with someone. Or you jump in, you have it in your own IDE. You could type in your own IDE. And you don't need to really type on the screen of someone else, but you could see this cursor, you could follow the cursor. And that approach was actually what I preferred. We tried it a lot with this solutions like TeamViewer or something like that, but that's not great because, as you said, there's a lot of, can I access that? What can I see then? It's oftentimes like you want to actually share something like the output of a web thing, right? The browser. But at the same time, you don't want to share the IDE. It's better you have your own IDE and instead watching a custom browser, your own browser, you basically see the transmit of the other browser. That works as well for us. So we use
same thing with the terminal. I'm okay at giving you a limited terminal inside my IDE or a browser inside my IDE, but I don't want you to give you access to all of my browsers and all of my terminals on my machine. Tuple solves this to some degree, where Tuple has that sort of, I don't know how they call it, like a privacy veil, so that you can it's kind of like sharing your desktop, but it's multi-app sharing. So you say this one is shared, that one is shared, that one's private. So it like hides apps that are not being shared. So you can sort of have like a little bit more. It's not super smart.
Is it WebRTC or
No, well, it's a desktop app for Windows and Mac.
okay?
So if you're a Linux user, that's already an issue with tuple. The way it works is sort of you get more fine-grained control about, for example, I want to share my IDE and this browser window. So then, and you share it by sharing your desktop, but you're not sharing your desktop, and you're not sharing any windows behind your screen. So for example, you might not be sharing your toolbar, you might not be sharing your notifications about when your dentist appointment is, when your wife is chatting with you about some important matters, that's not visible on screen, right? So it's usually this privacy issue of, am I sharing my IDE or my desktop? If I am sharing my desktop, I need to be like in a special presentation mode, which is not my usual working environment, right? So it then has this sort of like, yes, we could pair on my machine, but like I need some privacy if we're gonna pair for a long time, and then you will also have the same issue. So it creates this sort of back and forth between what's going on with regards to what the apps have access to, who has root access to what, and what can you see. So I don't want to like accidentally leak stuff, or you might alt tab over your email and might have some important conversations that you don't want everybody in the company to know about that's pairing with you, especially if it's being recorded internally in the company or externally, and things like this happen. So it's tuple. Tuple has a sort of more like a privacy focus. Code with Me has a little bit more of a IDE focus. So if everybody's used to IntelliJ, then you'll all be sharing the hotkeys. You can trigger refactoring pop-ups. You can use the same search functionality. You can even give somebody access to like a test runner, for example. You can have like a process running for like a v-test, for example, and then they can see it, they can control C it, they can restart the process, but they cannot write commands as root into your terminal, as your system terminal, unless you give them permission. So you can give them read-only access to something running. So for example, a watch process and a test process, and they can write into your IDE. What these tools also share is that, for example, VS Code and Code with Me is the IntelliJ one. What they also share is that they pick up on like who's driving. So I can say I'm driving, you're driving, we can switch, and it sort of remembers who made what change. So if you use the IDE's Git tool, the commit will have all the authors listed, and it might even have multiple change sets, so you can commit each change set individually, signed with the correct author. So if you need any kind of bureaucracy for making sure that like two pairs of eyes have seen a certain commit due to processes or regulation even, you can then use these tools to automate, okay, what did who see, what did who touch, to have a little bit more fine-grained bureaucracy there, if that's something you want. Tuple also does it to some degree, but it's more like an organizational level. It's a little bit more friendly to non-coders. So for example, Code with Me is very difficult to interface with a product owner if they're not using IntelliJ, right? So, or with like a customer support person who doesn't have any coding environments, you can then use tuple with them to say, okay, you're looking at the user side conversation, I'm looking at the code, let's put that on the screen, this is from my computer, that's from your computer, and they don't need to install an IDE that they normally wouldn't use just to pair with the developer. So tuple is a little bit more organization-wide, whereas Code with Me and VS Code pair programming is a little bit more coding pairing focused.
Well, there are IDEs like well, wait a second.
Well, all of the in-browser IDEs can be shared like a Google Doc. right? So I think Cursor has that kind of support. Replit is known for that kind of workflow. But I don't naturally code in these environments, so they're not set up. You might have some IDE-specific linters set up or settings or some hotkeys that you prefer. I generally prefer not to do any in-browser editing unless we are using the CI/CD tool. In my case, if you're using GitHub Actions, I'm okay opening up the GitHub web editor in pairing mode with somebody for I don't know, a config change for Terraform. No problem. But it's not my preferred pairing environment. Personal preference, of course.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with the tool. Although GitHub is a little bit of a memory hog when you start moving around, searching stuff, or having multiple tabs open. You run into the same privacy issues, right? Because it has access to all of your GitHub accounts, not just the one for company. So your privacy perspective from your machine doesn't have any privacy veils. It's not built with streaming, screen sharing in mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions so far? Let's see. Substack.
So Yunus says he likes tab and window sharing in Google Meet.
I think that was with regards to tuple. Yeah, it's similar like that, but on a more fine-grained level, you can say, tab sharing or window sharing, you can say just share this tab. And also, if you don't know, usually the autocomplete is a privacy concern in Chrome because it might contain private information. So when you're tab sharing or window sharing in Google Chrome, your autocomplete suggestions are not visible. I don't know if you knew this, but it's a very interesting privacy veil that Google just supports naturally. Chrome supports naturally. If you're using other browsers, then well, that might be the case. I don't know. It's what I'm using. I'm using Chrome and Brave and DuckDuckGo on my phone. So there's that. With regard to tuple, it's a little bit more. You have a little bit more granular control over. I want to show this screen and that tab without my background, without that notepad, and don't show my status bar notifications. Some people have personal information in their notifications as well, or their status bar, and then that just becomes,
Well, but those tools are actually worth testing out. So especially Code With Me, I'm pretty sure it's free. There's
Code With Me, no. Code With Me requires a IntelliJ account.
Okay, but then it's free, isn't it?
Well, if you have an IntelliJ account, you probably have it because you had to buy a license. So if you're IntelliJ, it generally is not free. You can have a trial version.
Yeah.
And
I mean, Code With Me
IntelliJ for open source projects and personal projects. If you're using IntelliJ professionally as a developer, you probably have a paid IntelliJ account, which means that it doesn't come at extra charge. If you are using any IntelliJ IDE as a paid member, you will have access to Code With Me. It still requires installation, and it also installs itself in it'll hook itself into the JetBrains toolbox if you're on Mac. For example, I have PyCharm, WebStorm, PHPStorm, Goland, and Code With Me is a fifth client because when you're pairing with Code With Me, you designate a host machine. So the main processes are running on the host machine, and then everybody else is hooking in as a client. So you can switch drivers, but the machine remains the same. Chukwuka says, I think I like Tuple. I will look into it, but is Tuple free? No, Tuple is a paid product. Tuple is a paid product. I mean, when it comes to these kinds of tools, the latency, the video quality, and the integration and ergonomics are so important that you basically get what you pay for. The VS Code one is free, but it's kind of crap. I don't know if there's, VS Code is not the same as IntelliJ. VS Code is quite a crap IDE.
Is it for Visual Studio Code? Do you have that there?
Visual Studio is meant to be like that same tier, but Visual Studio for some reason has less like high fidelity plugins compared to VS Code, probably because it's not free and it's not as well tested.
Well, people loved the idea of the platform, of the plugin platform too much, so that the actual
a lot of people
suite
create
is a little bit
Visual Studio out of VS Code, and it just becomes like a plugin management nightmare. Some people love that. The Linux users, I'm sure, love that. I personally hate that.
All people with custom kernels love.
I have 2 kids. I don't have time to manage my plugin folder. For me, VS Code, the free support it has is kind of crap. It lags. It's unreliable. Switching to drivers can introduce file corruption. That was a big no-no for me. And the Git integration is a little bit jittery. It was when I last used it, which was a few months ago. So I don't know whether there's an equivalent of VS Code pair programming for Visual Studio. So not VS Code, but Visual Studio, the enterprise one. I don't have any experience with it. I didn't even do any research. And I also don't see any people who I normally talk to about these tools using anything or advocating for anything. Most of the people I know use these 3. So Raul has a comment. Hey, Raul. I remember a product Mac only for CodeShare collaboration, which was really great. Is there any similar that also works for Linux Windows? You probably mean Tuple. There's also a co-stream or like co-screen sharing. Like it has a yellow icon as like an experimental plugin to do something similar as to Tuple. Let me know, Raul, which one you mean. Adrian, you dropped the link for me in.
Yeah, that's actually a CodeWithMe link if you want to demonstrate.
Oh, okay. Sure, let's do it.
That's the old Storyfy repository. So
yeah.
we have even the open changes from code. So
yeah, I'm downloading the client. Hang on, it's updating.
I can quickly show that. So a window that one.
So what Adrian will be demonstrating is CodeWithMe. So it's what he's demonstrating is not CodeWithMe. He is showing WebStorm.
No, I have sent you a link.
I know. But
I'm the destination.
Yes, you are in WebStorm. He's on the host machine. He is using his normal IDE. I am running CodeWithMe, and CodeWithMe creates a little WebStorm client on my machine. So it's slightly different than my host WebStorm. You need to approve me for joining. Thank you. Guys, you don't see the approval pop-up. They just appeared on Adrian's screen. That's a root privilege pop-up that you guys can't see, unfortunately, but Adrian can.
So now you see Alpheus, which is
that's
Dennis.
And
that's me. Exactly. Now I can follow you if you go.
Yeah, so now I can open up the project. I can open up the project. You can follow me. And for example, I can open up, that's me opening up the tabs. I can go to Hello TS and I can select something and you can see me sort of do this. What you can also see is that when I open up a terminal window, you can see that it's highlighted. You can see where I am.
Why have we never used that when we wanted to screen work together? I don't know.
I think we have, but it has some issues regarding your Cypress setup, because the Cypress setup wouldn't go through this. And CodeWithMe had some issues about running the browser driver to control Cypress. So if we couldn't have that, we still had to screen share so that I could see that. And we cannot screen share 2 things. We cannot screen share CodeWithMe and that at the same time. Because I think we did try it. But nowadays, I think there's a solution for that. So this is basically CodeWithMe. Also, what we can do is we can go into the commit. You can go into the commit tab, and you can then see, there are, so in the bottom left, you can see changes. Those are by Adrian, and changes by Alpheus. Those are my changes. So he has two change sets where he can see what I touched, what he touched, what we touched together. so that it's color-coded to show who was involved. And even if you committed these now, the commit would have a signature fingerprint to show who was on the session when this was programmed. We don't have to demonstrate that needlessly. What I do want to show is that I can, for example, type. You didn't give me write access, Adrian. Give me read-only access.
Oh, can I change?
I think so, yeah.
Full access.
Yeah, so for example, if you follow me, if you follow my screen, if you click on my icon, yeah.
Come on, follow.
Yeah, it has a little bit of a delay when you're following for the first time. So you can now see where my cursor is, and you can say, like, you can see me typing, and you can see where my cursor is. And what you can also do, you can also type. So you type and I type at the same time, and you can see why this is so powerful, because I can now say, okay, let's discuss a new test. And what you could be doing is you could be typing the implementation down below, or we could both be typing tests, or I can clean up some data and you can start typing the tests. So it's actually more powerful than just pair programming at a single machine, because it is possible for both of us to use our machines, but we are constrained to the same IDE. So both of us can type, both of us can sort of correct each other. You know, you might be typing and have made a typo, and I can go back as you're typing. I can go fix a typo that you made, 2 words ago. Even if we agree that you're the driver and I'm navigating, I can still go in and fix a little typo rather than saying, "Hey, you made a typo. Please go back. Please fix the typo." Those things don't normally happen when you're Zoom screen sharing and only one person has the IDE, and then I say, "Oh, hey, you missed a typo there." And obviously, I pick up on it first because you're thinking ahead and I'm looking backwards, right? So, but it creates a sort of tension moments of type, abort correct, type, abort correct. With both people being able to type, it creates a more seamless experience.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I can guarantee that we're looking at the same thing by us just following each other, seeing the tags up on screen. It does get annoying if you have 6 people on, because then those colored buttons just start pinging everywhere and there's too many cursors on screen. That can happen. For that, I recommend Tuple.
It's when your manager wants to type together with you, right?
Yeah. And what's also helpful is, for example, I see you have the Cloud Code plugin enabled. If I click Cloud Code, you and I now share the same agent.
Is it? Click on it. I want to see.
I did. It opened up for you.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's an old repo, so
yeah, it's probably not gonna. I'm not sure what it's connecting to. But basically, you and I are now looking at the same Claude conversation. I can see you typing.
Can you see that on your screen that I'm typing?
Yes, I can see on your screen that you are typing, that you have typed. I, of course, have much bigger delay, and I do not have write permission in that window, in the Cloud window, which also means I cannot reject actions. I cannot. It requires a little bit more pseudo, root level, system level write permission, which is an expedited permission in Code with Me, which isn't turned on by default, and I think it requires a restart. We don't have to do that right now. But I can see your. Oh, okay.
What'd you say?
Yeah, I have write permissions now. Oh, that's new then. Right.
I gave you full access, so it's not just write; it was full access.
Right, so I can say
just waste my credit card, no problem.
Just waste your credit card. Right, so what I can do, you see, I can use the agent that is configured and defined on Adrian's machine, and we can pair program, and I can talk to its agent. Usually when we pair program, everybody's using their own IDE if you don't have a tool for it, and then I'm using Junie, you're using Copilot, and then we constantly get in each other's way about my bot says this, your bot says that. even worse, if I have Claude and you have Claude and we have different master prompts, it just gets in the way so much that then you have to turn it off. And I can also see Junie being configured. Of course, if you have some like custom prompts or custom personality prompts for GitHub Copilot, and you are pair programming with GitHub Copilot enabled in IntelliJ, those will still have your individual Copilot settings, but then I can't talk to your Copilot suggestion. I can only share the agentic mode. That then becomes a lot more complicated, and it's probably not worth analyzing too much. It's definitely not going to be the main decision why you choose one tool over the other.
Can you see that as well on your screen? What happens in Junie?
No, that's private. So Junie specifically is out of context for sharing, right? So Junie is not something that is considered project specific. Junie is personal. Junie is you talking to Junie, not us talking to Junie.
Okay. So in Cloud Code, it only works because it's actually a CLI thing. So we transmit the shell here.
Yes. So that's also my recommendation. If you are using CLI-based agents, Code with Me is amazing because you can share access to it, and it doesn't, normally if I use my Copilot and I'm screen sharing and you're using Copilot and we're screen sharing, and then we have two screens shared, we're both paying for the agents, the Copilot, whatever. I mean, it's probably an enterprise account anyway, so you're not really that limited by usage. But if you're an individual and you notice the credit card usage, you can do this instead, and then only one person pays for it. Or maybe you have like a one master account that you want to have your main prompts on, then that person can do it. When it comes to Junie specifically is a host-only feature. So only you can accept Junie diffs from Junie to the files. I can still modify what ends up in your IDE, but I cannot see your conversation. That is a bigger privacy, security, integration concern.
You seem to block that screen for me, so I can't use it right now.
Yeah, is this better?
No.
No. I focused the IDE now. It should be okay now. Is it good?
Somehow my IDE seems to be frozen. It's very slow.
Refollow me and it should be okay.
Okay, now it's working again.
Yeah. So what I did, I opened up my Junie, and it highlighted that I have Junie open, but it's a different Junie than yours. So it showed you that I'm on Junie, but you can't see the screen. But it blocked you access from your Junie because I'm not looking at it and you were following me. Again, there are these like small details that then end up being clumsy. If you don't want to get bogged down by details like this, you can use tuple instead, and you can use whatever you want. But I do recommend simplicity. I would much rather, if you're going to pair like this, I would recommend that you simplify your process so you can pair through Code with Me, rather than using some complex toolchain that then requires some like extravagant, exotic tooling to actually get.
Regarding tooling, a guy called Kaloyan, I think he was on the guest list already once, at least, asked us that. Actually, joking. He's of course the number one guest we have, right? So he asks. We can simply show that. You should have a stream where each one of you shares what instruments and tools you are using. This is always very curious and entertaining. So probably you mean the software tools, or do you mean the hardware tools, Carlo?
That's a good question. Yeah, if you're still here, Carlo, and if you could clarify, please. Happy to discuss.
We never thought about that, right? So really, how do we actually work all day long? Of course, I'm only wipe coding anymore, so but this was, I'm just doing everything on my Steam Deck now.
We have one more item. We have one more item on the agenda, Adrian. If you wanna You can actually merge them. We said CodeRabitt and CodeScene, they're different tools. How do you want to handle those? So number 3, I will create a caption right now.
I think CodeRabitt is pretty quickly done because it's actually not a so interesting tool than I thought. CodeRabitt is a PR tool. So, and if you follow us long enough, you know my idea of PRs. So I was thinking, hey, we could use that tool. We installed it into our repository, which is basically done via GitHub in that case. And suddenly it's there and it's complaining that we basically don't do pull requests. And it is only interesting to have such a tool when you really have pull requests. So I cannot 100% tell how great it is or not. But I saw that it will take up to 20 minutes to actually get a review, which is for continuous delivery when we're actually pushing several times a day. What we do out, even with continuous deployment sometimes, it is not the best thing. So if I want to have a review of someone, I actually ask that person, right? So it's better to, hey, can you take a look at it? I'm insecure. I need to get that out or do a code review here. I do it that way. I like the idea that AI can do that. But if I really do that, then I go and ask Claude Code or Juni review my my commits I have not pushed yet, right? Review them before I push them. And that is basically the very same than CodeRabitt is doing. CodeRabitt tries to be more convenient for large teams who use something like Gitflow. Can be interesting because the problem is it is allowed by default to, I think it is allowed by default to write into your code base. So it basically notes things.
I think that can be controlled. I think
you can control that, but the idea is it works together with you and starts to, do something like make it to do here. So we need to fix that, something like that. So it's a little bit like the idea of finding bugs for you. But the problem is that was not my idea of a code review. So if you have a lot of bugs in your commit, that is not what the colleague shall find for you. That's not the idea of what. And this is what I don't like. CodeRabitt is focused on that one.
So we also have to mention CodeRabitt is a AI tool. Like, so the main selling point, the hype point is that it is AI automation. It is an AI-led, GPT-led code review tool. So it's kind of doing like a pre-review for you, so that the code is already kind of half reviewed when you do the human review. So I got into conversations about whether to accept or to pursue a sponsorship with CodeRabitt. It was popping up everywhere on my feed. People were nudging me. It's like, hey, Dennis, go do a CodeRabitt sponsorship. And I was like, okay, but ethical disclaimer, I don't want to be sponsored by a tool that I wouldn't recommend. So I went to try it. And nothing wrong with the tool. It's just not for me. I had the feeling that it kind of assumed that you're using that sort of old school Jira plus Gitflow mode of building and deploying and managing software. And that is, like, for me, the baseline of a dysfunctional team. And I'm in coaching where I'm encouraging people to go away from that. So this is a tool that I would always turn off rather than encourage you to adopt. Again, that's me being biased.
But no, it's the same. So we are both signers of the minimum viable CD idea, and that tool doesn't really align with that idea. So if
I want people to spend 0 seconds code reviewing on a pull requests. For me, that's ideal. And if I now introduce a tool that increases that number,
especially you need to wait for the result and then you actually work on.
It has a delay. It has a delay. So usually what has happened, I didn't use it so long that I could actually get, so that this is now me, making up a scenario. But usually, having seen the demo presentations for CodeRabitt, usually in most of my normal teams, the CodeRabitt suggestion would have appeared after the commit is already in production. And that's not, I don't derive a lot of value from that. What I'm looking for in 2025 is a tool that reviews code while we're pair programming. And that is CodeScene. Now, CodeScene.
Shall we quickly go to the comments, just to have that done?
Did Calogan respond?
Yeah, he did, and actually, Raul as well.
You just ruined my perfect segue. Okay.
Sorry, I just have a heart for our listeners, right?
Fair enough. Let's
prioritize.
Raul says, I remember a product. Wait, we already did this one.
Did we? Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, Raul didn't have a response. Or maybe it's on YouTube and I didn't see it.
So you didn't. So I remember a product Mac only for code share for collaboration, which was really great. Yeah, I remember that as well. So just the boss of the company could basically take a look at every computer without being noticed. That was really strange, to be honest. My business colleague back then used that to scam the employees. I didn't like that.
I'm not aware of this.
I don't know what that was. It was a built-in feature of Mac, of OS X. I don't know. OS X.
Like the enterprise grade, like the workspace stuff.
Yeah, probably. But newer Windows things, I think, had that as well. So this newer Windows thing can, I think, Windows 11 or 10.
Yeah,
can
Windows
do that as well.
Like the what is it? Is it? But no, it's I don't know the Windows ecosystem well enough. SharePoint. It's the deep SharePoint integration that allows you to basically access everybody's computers, Outlook, everything.
And Carlo asked us for to actually share, maybe make an episode where we really talk about what are we using here, what are we using to type, what are we using to probably do videos, to how we type.
In that case, I need to clean my desk.
Me too.
Yeah, I need to clean my desk if we're gonna do that.
A sneak peek? No, it doesn't really work.
So I'm using, what I can say, I'm using a G703 Lightspeed. It's been my favorite mouse.
I'm the boring guy. I have the mouse every Mac user does have, which is the MX Master 2.
Because I prefer having a wired mouse. So this is a wired mouse, but it's the mouse pad that's wired. So it's charging from the mouse pad wirelessly, and the mouse pad is wired. So I never have to.
You were always special.
I'm special, and I'm using I forget which one this was. It's one of the Razer keyboards with the blue, a little bit the new purple switches. I think the switches are purple. Purple switches, yes. So one of the Razer keyboards. I don't know which one. I don't even know what they're called anymore. I do have an old one that was brown switches. That, to me, that was a bit sexier, a bit better noise. But I always use a mechanical keyboard for like my main desktop setup.
Could be an interesting session at some point in time to talk about these things.
Yeah. But let's go back to CodeScene.
I know you want to do CodeScene. It's your favorite tool, I think.
It's not my favorite tool. I think it's my most unique tool of all the people that I meet. I think CodeScene is the one that people are like, "Oh wow, you can do that," and they don't know about it, and then I introduce it, and then right. So it's what CodeScene does. I've talked a lot about CodeScene. You can check out old episodes about CodeScene. CodeScene is great. So it's not a. It kind of works like CodeRabitt as well. It has that functionality, but that's not the main selling point. The main selling point is that it hooks into your CI/CD tool. So when your CI/CD pipeline is running, it can provide warnings about, hey, you said no more. So what you can do is you can configure hotspots, where you can say that is critical. That file, that folder is critical. A lot of business value is in there. A lot of people who have written that have left the company, so we have very little knowledge. we don't want a increase in technical debt in that folder, in that file, in the hotspot. So what you can say, you can define what technical debt to you is. Might be an increase in cyclomatic complexity, might be an increase in code smells. It's not AI driven, this part isn't. It is basically just static analysis and trying to analyze code smells, and it gives you suggestions about how to resolve the code smell. And then what ends up happening is you can configure it with like a linter, but in your CI pipeline. So as your CI pipeline is running, it then tells you, hey, there's a regression in code smells here. There's a regression in quality here. There's a regression in cyclomatic complexity on this function that you quarantined that said, this function is too complex. It is what it is, but we're not allowing an increase in complexity, right? So you can increase the complexity of the function by moving down the baseline so that then the new version matches the old one in complexity, right? And then you can sort of put your technical debt initiatives into a automation controlled CI/CD step, right? So you say, okay, on the payment stuff, we are reducing technical debt. So from now on, if you're touching the file and it has been flagged, you need to reduce the technical debt in that commit. Otherwise, you're not allowed to touch it. So you can then start initiatives, targets. You can also monitor hotspots like that. That's a typical CI/CD integration of CodeScene. It's web-based and PR-based. So it'll send you emails, Slack notifications, and give you like a pull request comments or build artifact comments, depending on how your workflow is set up. So it can communicate with you through PR, like CodeRabitt, or more aggressively, like through some pings or workflow comments or build artifact comments. And it'll basically say, this file, this section is flagged because technical debt violation. We said it's quarantined, it needs to go down, it went up, so build rejected. That's one thing. The other thing, there's a new tool which is AI enhanced, is called CodeScene Ace. Now, CodeScene Ace is a IntelliJ plugin. I have it installed.
We can see something.
Yeah, so I'm always showing it from my BitBurner setup but I haven't screen shared on Restream yet, so maybe that's gonna be. Bear with me. It might be broken. This one. Oh, I have too many screens open. So this is BitBurner. This is a Scratch file. It's the wrong one. Hang on. Well, you can already see that it gives you like this. It gives you code health analysis. But I can actually do it in a better project. Let me do that real quick. How do I stop screen sharing? Stop. Wrong project. I want the open source project. That is the host of this game. Just one moment till it boots up. Okay. It's this one. This one's a bit messier, which is why I prefer it. So what you can see here is I can maybe go to, I don't know, go maybe board state, board analysis, maybe this. Yeah. This will definitely trigger something, right? So did you see it? So
yeah.
CodeScene ran, and CodeScene said, hey, I have an ACE alert for you. This function. Can you see the tooltip?
No.
You can't see the tooltip. Damn it. The tooltip says complex method CC9. Maybe I can.
Connaissance or what?
Yeah, so it has this. I think this one you see, right?
Mm-hmm.
It says complex method CC9, and it tells me that this function has a complexity of 9. And I have a refactor using CodeScene Ace button, which you can't see on my tooltip. So what it's doing is I can click this button.
And it does my code generation now.
And it runs an agent, right? So the thing that CodeScene would have done in the background had I committed this file, and then it would have ran in the CI/CD pipeline. It's doing that in advance as I'm typing, and then it gives me this sort of inline hints of, hey, this is a complex method.
So you are a vibe coder.
I'm a vibe refactorer, let's call it that. So I can now click
vibe reviewer.
So I can now do view result, and the view result is in this window. It says, hey, here is a refactoring suggestion. This inspection improves code health. Sometimes the refactoring suggestion makes the code health worse or doesn't improve anything. You can just get stuck, like refactoring a local minima that doesn't have an obvious solution. I have the suggestion here. I can click accept auto refactor, and it has now applied. You can see in my minimap where the changes went.
Would you trust the AI of CodeScene more than, for example, Claude Code to fix the issue? If you could pass the issue code,
no. I wouldn't. Code? I would try it. I would look at it, accept it. If, like in this case, it created an issue where it didn't type an extracted variable, so space in this case is not typed and it cannot be inferred, so it's being inferred to any. My linter does not allow that. So in this case, I would restore this file and I would reject the.
The reason I ask is
I would restore this file. Where am I? Right. So I would now do restore to reject the suggestion. However, what I would do is I would say, okay, can you pinpoint me to the complexity? And I think it can. I think it pinpoints me that this is the complex stuff. And what I could do, I could extract this and refactor it. Extract, for example, this is the complex stuff. I'm just doing a demonstration. So I used IntelliJ's extract method. I extracted what appeared to be the complex thing. And now, eventually, CodeScene ACE will run again on this, and it will redo its suggestion about complexity, and then I can scope down where it should refactor.
Mm-hmm.
That will be my strategy. But again, that's me being a little bit more of an active user of ACE.
So I would if it would not be like an extraction but a refactoring within one component, I would tend to use my current AI agent of choice. The reason is the context files behind that. I trust Claude or Juni more to understand what we actually need, because a mistake like non-typed thing wouldn't have happened with those.
So
right?
What I have to highlight that what CodeScene is doing, it is wanting to replicate the static refactoring tools. So the static refactoring tools like extract method are context free. They can be used anywhere because it's only using the compiler to do the refactoring. So what I would be using CodeScene for is to apply multiple of the same refactoring. For example, it might say, hey, this is a complex method. The refactoring suggestion might be extracting 4 cohesive groups into 4 separate functions, which to me takes 4 clicks. This extract, this extract, this extract, this extract, and CodeScene ACE can do that in one step. But I will only trust it as long as the refactoring steps being used were static analysis steps. If it started vibe coding, I would immediately reject it, right? But I can sort of preview that very quickly and use it that way. It's very handy when you're doing the shimming, for example, right? When you're injecting a scene, you're pulling it out, you create a mess, and you inject it back in. It then like blows up one of the methods, which usually takes like a lot of manual labor to like reorder them so you can extract them. It might have multiple returns, so you then move all the returns to the end. That then messes up the dependencies. CodeScene Ace is very good at like cleaning up that kind of a function, because it can apply multiple refactorings, static analysis refactorings at the same time. This is why I value it. I definitely wouldn't vibe code with it. If I wanted to vibe code with it, I would want like Cloud Code level prompting power. However, it would be interesting to maybe see a CodeScene plugin for Claude. If that existed, I would use that instead. I would not
maybe an
use...
MCP-like thing.
Yeah. So Claude could talk to CodeScene to get access to its code smell analysis software, because Claude doesn't really, it's not close enough to a static analysis tool. Whereas with CodeScene, like the signal to noise ratio is very high.
Yeah,
like
with CodeScene you have your goals, while you don't really have goals. So you can ask an AI to give me suggestions how to optimize code. That can happen, but that is not like very accurate, because you would need to have a lot of guidelines.
What you saw in the project, the reason it was highlighted was, so IntelliJ and IDEs can do static analysis. They can say, oh, cyclomatic complexity 9, that's high. In the universe, in a vacuum, in the community, on Google, on Stack Overflow, whatever, 9 is considered high. That's kind of naive. What CodeScene allows you to do is, in CodeScene, you can say, in this project, in this folder, the high threshold is 20. Right? So you can go in and say, for this context, for this team, 20 is considered high, and then it'll lint against those rules. So you can have code smell rules, so that you can say minor code smell issues, no biggie. But if we have, shotgun surgery or God object or God method, and it's like enormous, that's an issue. Or you can say one issue is okay. More than 2 issues on a hotspot where brain drain has occurred, so the authors are no longer with the company, that is a no-go. That is an instantly rejected PR by the automation. Right? So it's that level of granularity that makes it really powerful. Yeah, that. Again, huge fan of CodeScene, obviously biased. There are multiple competitors here in this space, all enterprise-grade tools, right? So you have SonarQube, you have Kodana. So Kodana is
new.
Yeah, Kodana is the IntelliJ team integration suite tool. I don't know anybody who used it. I never used it.
We have used it, but just because it was free and just a click away.
Yeah, it comes with like the suite, and if you're using the ecosystem, it's nice. But I don't see a lot of people using the ecosystem. I just see people using the editor. So there's that, and then there's SonarQube. SonarQube is one of the most prominent, let's say, static analysis tools that runs in a CI/CD pipeline. That is IDE independent, or repository independent, or for example, Azure DevOps is very opinionated about what runs and what doesn't run. Thanks. There's that, and then there's CodeScene. My recommendation, especially for smaller teams, the cheapest one is CodeScene, and it has the best price performance of all of these tools.
Really?
Yeah. I've done some price analysis, and CodeScene is by far, like, even if you're just using the free tier, it's very valuable. If you're using the paid tier, it's the cheapest of the 3. Unless you assume that if you're paying, thousands for TeamCity or whatever it is from IntelliJ, that then Kodana is a free upgrade on top of that. It's like, it depends.
We actually use TeamCity.
It depends, right? Because there are a lot of these bundling issues going on. Microsoft is notorious for this. It's like it gives you Office 365 and Azure DevOps, and then now it's a difficult conversation of, okay, are you paying for the tool? Are you not paying for the tool? It's bundled. Is this a monopoly or not? So I don't want to get into that needless philosophical discussion. My opinion is that if you want the tool and you don't want to change the environment just for the tool, CodeScene is the simplest and quickest one to run an experiment with. You hook it up, it does like a baseline analysis once, takes a few hours, and then it's ready to use. What it's also very good at, I use it a lot for GitHub forensics. So I love looking into the Git history of projects, so I see how the project has evolved over time, and it can visualize it. So I can see one bubble, microservice, big monolith, microservice, and you can plot that out, like how did the files evolve over time, and it usually gives me that document that I wish organizations had, so I could sort of backtrace how decisions were made in the org with regards to writing code. A lot of organizations aren't aware that they have this. They sort of try to reverse engineer it from Jira, but I find it a lot easier to just look at the source code. And then it also allows me to look at, are the hosts hotspots there because they're new? Are the hotspots there because teams have moved? And then you can usually do something like, what I like to do is I like to take snapshots of, okay, this was one generation of developers, this was another generation of developers, who touched this, who touched that, and then you can usually see, Conway's law in practice. It's like, okay, these developers only worked here, these developers only worked here, most of the nasty important stuff is in the old generation, most of the new vibe-coded technology stuff is in the new generation, and wherever these two worlds meet is where most of the problems are. Usually that's my analysis, but then the tool helps me narrow it down and say, hey, I think we should focus on this and this and this. Because as a coach, I teach them practices, but I also want to enforce it. But I hate when it's enforced to everybody, right? So I might say, I will teach you how to do TDD. So I will then enforce a policy that says, you can't commit if it's not test covered. But I don't want to enforce that unanimously on a monorepo. I'm going to enforce that on a single team, in a single folder, in a single microservice, given certain rules. Right? So that CodeScene then helps me identify that, no, this one needs to be test covered from now on. What was untest covered before can remain untest covered, but the new stuff has to be. And then that just automates what I would normally be like eyeballing as the coach. Like I would be eyeballing, okay, that's old, this is new, we agreed the new stuff is test covered. And now I can have an automation tool that does that for me. And for me, that's very valuable. And then I can teach engineering managers or tech leads how to use this tool, and then I can sort of, scale this initiative. Because what I see others do is they say, okay, code base is shit. From now on, mandatory test coverage, and then they start with a test coverage mandate, and then everybody loses their mind about writing stupid, pointless tests. And that makes me sad. So CodeScene is one of the tools that sort of bridge the gap between that hell and this reality, without putting all the pressure on me to sort of babysit every single PR that goes into the pipeline, because that's what I used to do.
Good. Shall we come to an end today?
Calvin wants to know about our hardware. We're going to talk about that later.
I would say we do that in a separate session. Maybe spontaneous one or something like that.
Let's read out Calvin's entire comment though. So Calvin suggested, I asked what he wants to know about, what tools, software, hardware. He said software plus hardware. Last time Dennis shared about touch typing. And I guess everybody has their own preferences on how to type and what to use as a mouse and keyboard. Additionally, software tools are fascinating as well. like the shortcuts, hints thing, but also editors, IDEs, terminals, whatever you consider unique about how you use your machines for work. Cool. I think we can do an episode on that. We already had a quasi episode with Paul Hammond. That was basically this on steroids, going over Paul's workflow and Paul's setup. Kalyan, if you're interested, Paul has his GitHub handle is CityPaul. So if you go to @CityPaul on GitHub, you will have his shell profile configs. So you can then see how he's installing the tools. So he has like, I think, Ansible automation to install terminal tools rather than Homebrew, or he might be mixing in Homebrew as well to then see what tools he's using. And we can then cross-reference that to the stream we did with Paul a few weeks ago regarding his Cloud Code usage on frontend. Good topic. I'm glad to see there's interest. And thanks for speaking up about it. Appreciate that. Cool. Any last words, Björn?
Not too many today. So there will be a lot more streams next time. So you see, so Dennis anyway more often than I did in the last past. But we will do that more often now. And
Emmanuel said it would be great to share the screen.
Didn't we see that?
I saw that come in just now.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Because it came just now.
Yeah.
Hello, Emmanuel.
Was that referring to me talking about CodeScene? I'm not sure. Might have been. We'll see. Emmanuel, if that was referring to CodeScene, CodeScene does have a demo page. There is a delay. Yeah, there's a slight delay there. CodeScene does have a demo page where I think React, what was it? Something from the C# ecosystem. I think NHibernate and React are hooked up to CodeScene as sample projects, and you can use those then to explore the tool. No, it's all good. I think you're watching from behind, and also we have a slight API delay. It would just be good what you're referring to. Cool. You were saying, Adrian? But there's going to be more streams.
More streams, probably going about more what we do in our company in daily life. So talking about this new topic about Adrian builds, basically. That it will cover basically everything. Right now it's more about the agentic stuff because it's so fitting, but I don't want to become like known for, hey, this guy's only talking about agentic coding, because it is actually not that interesting. So it is interesting for 1 or 2 weeks, and on some point in time you just use it because it's okay. If you found out how, and that's the point, I want to communicate this. But on some point in time I want to go back into taking a look into the decisions we've made 3 years ago. Were they valid? Tech stack is actually quite interesting again. I really like that idea of talking about tech stacks again, because tech stacks is, let's say, oftentimes this long-term strategic decision, and you don't really know if you're happy in the next years. And even though it's not the main focus for a business, it is still relevant. And of course, for all the geeks and nerds out there, very interesting to think about. Things like content creation as well, a little bit, because I was asked several times this week now how to actually create videos as a developer. So developers want to create videos about what they do, and it's not really about I want to become an influencer or something like that. It is more like, what tools do I actually to record myself doing something, editing that, and getting that somehow to LinkedIn. It is not that easy, right? Doing those things. That would be an interesting episode as well, how I actually record a video with Descript. Basically, go through the entire video, do a thumbnail, go for the description, and then post it on multiple platforms. Or we could talk a little bit about how we actually do streams. I see a lot of...
like we need to make another planning session if you want to discuss these. We should do that live as well then.
Yeah,
so
we can do that.
For part of what Raul was requesting, and part of what Kaloyan were requesting, just have a stream about just talking to the community about what's interesting, what we could put on the agenda. I think we should definitely schedule that. How are we? This is our first stream using Restream.io. Are we happy?
Are we happy, Chat? Are we happy? Are we happy with the current quality?
Music is different. We don't have an intro. We don't have an outro. We didn't migrate those yet. I don't think we had a background image. I don't know. Captions look a bit different.
It feels good, and we have a shop. We can even sell things to you during the stream. We don't have a product yet, but we can sell. Live sales. I can add affiliate links and those kind of things. I don't know.
Yeah, we can finally sell the I Refactor Fearlessly.
Exactly. Now sponsors, you can come in now, right?
Yeah.
No, it's actually a cool tool. I like it more. Just the pricing model is so much better than StreamYard, and the quality for me is so much better than, because I actually stream to probably Frankfurt now, and not San Diego, or San Francisco, which is far away actually. And I saw that when I was basically sharing screen, everything was basically slow on the other end.
Yeah.
And that is not the case here. And see that somehow our viewers are now going up on Twitch and YouTube. And
I wasn't aware you're streaming to Twitch today. Okay, but it's mostly bots, right? I mean,
yeah. If you click on the eye, that's interesting as well. You see the differences.
Do I see that, or
there's an eye up there? You are admin. You should see that in the streaming thing.
Okay. I don't see it.
Okay. Never mind. I was actually changing the title 5 minutes ago because it was just a generic title. Which
yeah, I don't know. I can edit the channels, but I don't want to turn them off.
No, it's a good thing. So let's
I
have
think only you see that for some reason.
What is your final verdict? Do you like that solution? Is it actually a good one?
I mean, right now I need to get used to it. So
I like it. I have to say I like it.
There's the element of just getting used to a new tool.
There's way more music in it, and you can shuffle music as well. That's cool. That's
just
so important.
What's important to me is that you like it, and that we tried something new. That's cool.
Okay, so there will more streams coming in. Some more spontaneous, some more regular, and let's keep it on. I would say thanks for tuning in today. We had some interesting conversations, and there will be more. But
next week we have the vibe coding episode scheduled.
That's good.
We're gonna discuss what vibe coding is, how to identify it. Is agentic usage the same as vibe coding? Where are the limits? What will be inappropriate at the workplace? Things of that nature. So that we have scheduled for next week. I think that's one of Adrian's topics, or I think Emmanuel or Kaloyan actually suggested that topic.
Vibe coding.
Yeah.
What is vibe coding?
I need to check the recording
it is tagged to me, so probably I need to set it up then. Shall we show 15 minutes of vibe coding with a tool just as a thing, and saying we should not do this like that?
Sure.
Then I'll prepare something.
Yeah. Okay. See you next time.
Yeah. Let's discuss this next time, because I have so much to say about this topic.
Next time.
Okay.
And then we can do another planning session.
Cool.
Cheers.
Goodbye, everyone.